Kelly Schultz, and I am discussing an article that I found at the National Restaurant Association website. This article is basically a how-to guide on how to resolve employee conflict. My subject was disciplining employees, so I felt like this article was directly related because in order for an employee to be disciplined, there must be a conflict that arises first. Then, once the conflict has been identified, proper discipline must be administered. So basically, this article is a how-to guide on how to resolve the employee conflict. It basically shows several steps that management must take in order to help the workplace be a happy place for all employees. I thought this would be a good article because it properly discusses how to administer discipline to employee in an effective manner. It's a basic It helps managers deal with difficult employees and to resolve employee conflict. The first section of this article explains that not all conflict can be negative. In fact, sometimes conflict helps raises issues that need adjusting in the establishment. It can prevent employee conflicts from coloring the customer's perception of your restaurant. As in, customers come in day to day. Obviously, they can see what type of mood employees are in. If there's negativity in the air, it definitely reflects off of the establishment and can cause customers to feel uncomfortable or to see that something is going on that shouldn't be affecting the work. Also, it can help set policies to minimize nagging or negative conflicts. It also can plague a poorly run business. The positives, these are the three positive sides that are considered conflict management principles. Another important reason to resolve employee conflicts is the fact that it can make for the poor impression of an establishment. Basically, it can help the establishment lose customers, which is never a good thing. A conflict must be resolved immediately. If there's some sort of sexual harassment or just negativity in the air, it needs to stop now before it starts affecting customers and other employees. The best way to go about this is for the manager to ask the employees that are in a feud or having conflict arise, have them step into the back of the establishment so it's out of sight of customers. Then calmly ask them what the problem is, hear both sides of the story, and try to come up with a reasonable solution to this problem. Hopefully, by doing this, it will create a positive air into the establishment and help other employees continue their work without being disturbed. After the employees have stepped away from the main conflict, it is best to come up with a positive solution. That might be creating shifts with two people that just don't get along together, opposite of each other, so they have minimal time working together. Also, compromises are the best way to help resolve conflicts. Basically, say, hey, if two people are doing the same job, have them take turns or help each other out in a way that effectively gets the job done. The best way to prevent employee conflict is to set clear guidelines about sexual harassment, racism, and other intolerable behaviors. The two most topics that cause conflict are sexual harassment and racism within the workplace. Basically, we cannot have this happen, so people must know what is considered sexual harassment or racism and how to prevent it. This way, employees know exactly which behaviors are unacceptable and hopefully understand when these conflicts arise and that discipline must be administered if this happens. That way, everyone can feel safe within the workplace, feel good about how they're working, and most importantly, understand if a problem does happen that discipline must happen. Another important topic about conflict is that employee relations between front and back of house are crucial to a harmonious workplace. A lot of times there's miscommunication between the front and back of house, which can cause a conflict. Either a cook is, very flustered, a lot of covers to go over, maybe the sous chef came in late, all these problems are happening, and then the poor waiter that's waiting on an order gets the most of what's happening. Um, a lot of times there's just anger distributed to the wrong people. Hopefully, if there's a good relationship between the front and back of house, they can communicate well and hopefully solve any conflicts that are happening and help each other out. I mean, if there's a problem with a rowdy table, maybe a chef can go out and talk to them and make them feel a little better. Also, if the front of house has a good relation with the back of house, they can have a few perks with having, available foods and things to help customers feel more satisfied if their service isn't adequate. These are just a few tips to create a harmony between employees. Another great way is to focus on the job and not personalities of your coworkers. Basically, at the end of the day, the work needs to get done. If you have a problem with your coworker, you just need to kind of leave it at the back door and continue with your work. If you start being physical or yelling at each other, it's just not good. You gotta leave it at the back door, or else discipline will unfortunately have to get you back in line. So basically, the best way to be a great manager is to just understand that conflict will happen and go about figure out the best way to resolve the employee conflict. Yes, discipline must happen sometimes, but the best way to go about it is to try and prevent it as much as you can, so that way it's a happy workplace. Alright, and that is my article. Thank you very much. This was Kelly Schultz.